Back in 2014, 2 Dutch girls came in, did a moderate hike. A couple months later, they found their bones. This trail is a drug trafficking trail.
We're going in there unannounced.
It's game over. People die up here.
Why is that? You don't even want us to show your face.
Every day, people vanish. Each mystery leaves a trace of truth. Journalist Kinga Phillips and filmmaker explorer J.J. Kelly are searching for people who are lost in the wild.
Hey there, dude.
Good, Andrew? You a little dusty?
Yeah. Welcome to Boquete.
We're here because back in 2014, 2 Dutch girls came in, did a moderate hike just north of town, vanished. One of the biggest search efforts in this area. A couple months later, they found their bones. Official Panamanian conclusion: they fell off a bridge while crossing a river. Then the other theory is foul play, which could be anything from cartels to a group of murderers to a serial killer.
And the route they took is the Pianista, a trail that takes you to the top of the ridge, the Continental Divide, and then on the other side of the ridge is an old native path called the Serpent Trail, and that stretches through Panama's darkest jungles.
Well, the crazy thing, JJ, is that there have been a number of disappearances and murders here. They're not the only ones.
Panama is only 37 miles wide at its thinnest. And so if anything illegal is coming up through South America, it has to pass through Panama. And there's a good chance, good or bad, if it was illicit, it came through here.
Let's talk to some people.
Good?
Yeah, we're set.
Light okay?
Your mic is good. Looks good?
Got it. Good. AC count 6 marker.
Tell me about this Pianista trail. Is this a trail where you can get lost easily?
Uno solo. Only one.
There's no way to get lost. You actually don't need a guide.
What about the official story from the Panamanian government that they fell from the Monkey Bridge and their bones were washed downriver?
No way.
Why not?
Because they would never, ever go on it.
This area also has a bit of a reputation.
Yes, I know.
There are other people who have gone missing here, correct?
Yes, correct.
There's hundreds of cases like that.
So we know the official Panamanian story is that the girls made it past the Pianista and onto the Serpent Trail. And from there, apparently they fell from the first cable bridge, which we call the Monkey Bridge. I mean, for me, the question is it realistic that the girls even made it that far? And if we can figure that out, that might actually shed some light on all the other disappearances too. This is the start of the Pianista. So this is where Lisanne and Kris started, April 1st, 2014. You know what? I have those pictures, actually.
So we've got photos from the girls. We know when they were here, they were really happy. One thing we're gonna try to do is find the spots and match as best we can where they hiked and really recreate their path.
Yeah, following their footsteps, and we got to test against the official Panamanian story. Look how happy they were.
I know. I bet they were having the time of their lives.
So they were 21 and 22. Lisanne was described as smart and introspective. She studied applied sciences and was a talented athlete. Kris was said to be really creative, an aspiring actress who was caring and outgoing. They both saved up money to come here and volunteer at a local school. And then one day, they pack up just a few things for what was a casual hike, popular trail, and then, mysteriously, they both vanish.
Hola, hola, buenos dias.
Hola.
No.
So it's what? A couple hours to the top? I'm gonna time this actually, see how long this takes us. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready, Andrew?
Yeah, let's do it.
Look how wide this trail is. Like, to me right now, if it continues on like this, you don't get lost on this.
Right.
You don't slip and fall and then 20 days of searching doesn't find you.
Check that
The
out.
shack. Think someone lives there?
I don't know.
The bottom of this trail is so heavily populated.
Yeah.
And we know that this is a pretty well-trafficked trail by the local people. I would be stunned if someone didn't see these girls. You know, there's an article titled "The Hills Have Eyes." And I kind of feel that here.
When you're looking at the Pianista Trail, there are little farms everywhere. There's no way not to be noticed up there. You're actually passing through people's backyard.
Check it out. The guy watching right there.
I know.
There are a lot more people out here than I expected.
Yeah.
So let's go.
This is it. This is the top.
That would be the Pacific Ocean over there. And then that way would be the Caribbean Sea.
So this is the Continental Divide. Then look at this. This is the memorial to the girls. They put their deceased date as April 1st. That's the day that everything went wrong. So most of the tourists stop right here, and for whatever reason, these two decided that they were gonna keep going. Del Sendero, no passe. So end of the trail, don't go past this.
I wonder if the sign was here when the girls were here.
You know what? I have those photos. So we know that 8 photos were taken within 6 minutes from the metadata on the phone and the camera. And they were all taken up here. They were right here. So she's standing literally right there. They left at 11 a.m. They made it up here at 1. So it took them 2 hours to get up here.
They would have been happy. They would have been enjoying themselves, moving forward.
And 3 hours later,
Something happened. Something changed.
and we know that something happened at that point because of the phone records. Now, the girls had a phone with them, and a few hours later down this trail, they made their first emergency call.
We know that about 4:30 when they start calling, something is wrong.
The first distress call was made on April 1st at 4:39 p.m. Now, then they tried the Dutch emergency line 112, which didn't go through. Then they tried 911, which is a private ambulance service here in Panama, but that one only briefly connected. So not long enough to speak to anyone. So after that, someone continued to use the phone either to make a distress call or check for signal every day up until April 6th.
So you do think they were alive for several days after they disappeared on April 1st?
Unfortunately, yes.
So we don't know what was happening during that period. I mean, maybe they were lost, maybe one of them was injured or had died in some kind of a freak accident. I mean, maybe they had been kidnapped, held hostage, but had somehow managed to hide their phones. What do you think was going on in the girls' heads at this point?
Waiting, yes. Panic, yes. Fear, yes.
Then on April 7th, everything changes. Between April 7th and 10th, there are 77 attempts to access the phone with the incorrect PIN. And on top of that, someone uses the camera to take 90 incomprehensible photos at night, which are like something out of a horror movie.
What about the photos from the camera? There were 90+ photos taken of just random things.
Yes, I've shown them. They're creepy. They're Blair Witch Project.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. And at the same time, you have this constant feeling that you're not alone.
Everybody in town knows that we're on this trail.
That's it. They know that we're here. So people knew that these girls were here.
They had to have.
What do you want to do? You want to keep going the way they did? Guess we have to, right?
I'm interested in what they saw next.
The part of the jungle out there is known by the guides as jungle hell. Past the Continental Divide, people die up here.
So imagine if this is 1 o'clock, this is what time we're here.
Mm-hmm.
That first emergency call was made 3.5 hours later. So within 3.5 hours, something bad enough happened that those girls needed to make an emergency call.
Right.
And it happened down there. Let's keep going then.
Okay.
Kinga and I are following in the footsteps of 2 Dutch hikers who went missing on this trail in Panama. We're putting the official story to the test, trying to figure out where they made their first emergency call and why.
This is unreal.
Yeah, we're in a trench right here. Look at that, it's 20 feet up. If I was from here, and if I was going after the girls, and I was quiet about it, and they were making noise, you could watch them from right up here. This is the perfect terrain to surveil them. And then look, you pop down, and you say, yeah,
Where am I gonna go?
you're trapped. So maybe it wasn't that they got lost, maybe it was that they were followed.
Could very well be where these last daylight photos were taken. 2 o'clock, they were crossing this stream, which times out for us, and the hike that we just did, that this could be it. After this, we know 2.5 hours later, they tried to call for the Dutch equivalent of 911.
Let's see if we can recreate it. Let's see if we can get a shot of it. Yep.
I don't know. It's a little different, but
Again, it's
Everything would be different.
a dynamic jungle.
Yeah, the water level would be different, the moss would be different, the rocks would be different, the foliage would be
The
different.
trail, everything.
So it's 4:39 p.m. This is the exact time the girls made their first distress call for help. Now, the official government story is that they ran into trouble at the Monkey Bridge, AKA the Cable Bridge, and we're still hours away from that. It seems unlikely that they made their first distress call before they made it that far. But if that's the case, how did their remains and their belongings end up so deep in the jungle?
I think we should set up camp for the night.
I think we have to, and I'd rather do that now before it gets super dark.
All right, hammock. You got that? Okay. Let's try that tree and that tree.
When you're out there in daylight, there's no problem. When you're out there in the dark, it's game over.
There were over 90 photos taken. 88 of them are just black photos, like they were shooting into the night sky. And the theories are that they could have been trying to signal, which is actually really smart with a flash.
Signaling for help.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have 4 of them, and these photos were taken the night of April 7th into the morning of April 8th. They're so random. Like, what were they doing? You have a rock, and you have this red material, I guess candy wrappers around it, tied to this twig. The theory is that one of the girls was already deceased, and the other one was trying to mark the location of her body. This is what it's speculated to be: a backpack strap, a mirror, and toilet paper, or some kind of, I mean, it has writing on it. That's not toilet paper. And then this one is super weird, a little eerie.
You see that right there? Some people say that that could be a body, or to me, more likely, if it is a human, it's somebody passing through beneath.
These photographs to me look like they're taken from inside a nightmare.
Look, we know that this trail is a drug trafficking trail. Like, we have been told that. They told us not to stay out here at night. So we know that there are shady characters that make their way through here.
I think every night, if they were out here, was terrifying, but the night that all those photos were taken must have been the scariest.
What was that?
I don't know what that was. I'm gonna go check it out.
Something falling or something moving. What is that? So I'm in the jungles of Panama, investigating the disappearance of 2 Dutch girls. And if I've learned anything so far, it's that this jungle is absolutely terrifying. What's that? What is that? JJ.
I didn't mean to scare you. I didn't see anything out there, but that doesn't mean that someone isn't watching.
If you live in this area, you're a lot more comfortable out here at night than we are. I think we should sleep in shifts, if you're up for it.
Yeah, I think we should sleep in shifts, and I also think we should keep the lights off.
Yeah, let's keep a low profile.
Because I don't like the idea that someone could see us and we couldn't see them.
Yeah, let's turn all the lights off right now, actually.
So I feel like a little bit of sitting here in my raincoat and my jacket underneath and my dry shoes and my hammock to keep me off the ground, knowing that we have flashlights and food and we're recreating the steps of these two women who had none of that.
When I was their age, 21 years old, I did the exact same thing that they did. I worked at a restaurant to save enough money to have this meaningful trip to come down to Central America. Whatever happened to them took away what should have been one of the best experiences of their life. How'd you sleep?
Sleep? I don't know how those girls even lasted as long as they did without anything, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it's early. I think if we're gonna make it to that monkey bridge, now's the time to do it.
You haven't seen the cable bridges?
No.
No. I'm a mountaineer. You feel mortal on the bridge.
Whoa,
Watch yourself here.
I don't think we're gonna cross here. Maybe there?
Yeah.
That's a solid jump. So this is the Serpent River though, right? So this is where the Panamanian government says that they fell from Monkey Bridge and died. Which, thinking of how far we've come, we are hours past that last photo that was taken at the creek. So the idea of them making it here that first day during daylight,
Yeah.
watch out for snakes, JJ. They don't call this Serpentine River for no reason.
This is the monkey bridge.
That is not a bridge, that is a wire.
That's the official story from the Panamanian government, that they fell from these bridges.
No way.
You don't believe that?
No way. No way.
Why not?
Because they would never, ever go on it.
Why? Because it's so hazardous?
Because they're sensible girls.
The Panamanian government says they fell from a monkey bridge and were either gravely injured or killed. So then we know that the jean shorts were found a couple hours downriver from here. And then after that, a couple hours, bones turned up all together, the shoe, the foot, the pelvis, the rib. And then several hours after that, the backpack was found.
So if the Panamanian story lines up, this would be the source where all the evidence emerged from. What would happen if you fell off one of these bridges?
First, you'll break your neck. Second, you'll break your neck. Third, you'll break your neck. Then you fall in the water and break your neck.
You're dead.
Yeah, quite.
I have zero trust in this bridge. I just really want to see what it feels like. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I don't like this.
Yeah, nope, I don't either. I don't like it. Yeah, JJ, I don't know. Like, no matter how desperate, I don't know that I would do this. And the further out you get, the more bouncy it gets.
I don't think it's worth it. Just get back here.
Yeah, JJ, I don't know. Like, no matter how desperate, I don't know that I would do this. And the further out you get, the more bouncy it gets.
I don't think it's worth it. Just get back here. You all right?
Yeah, no, I just scratched myself. These wire, I'm going back, I'm going back.
You okay?
Yeah, I probably have tetanus, but I'm okay.
I can't imagine those girls went across this
No,
bridge.
there's no way.
No way.
I would honestly rather swim across. Look at how frayed this is.
was pretty miserable.
It was, and in some ways it was enlightening, and others it was confusing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that trail's like a trench. It's hard to get lost. There were the monkey bridges, which is possible to fall off.
But there's no way the girls would have made it out this far before making that distress call.
All right, here we are. What's going on?
Well, we have followed in the girls' footprints as much as we possibly can, been in the jungle, and we know the official story just doesn't add up. So I think we need to look at this evidence a little more closely. This is super fascinating. The last photos that were taken were 507, 508. And the next photo that comes up in these totally bizarre nighttime photos is 510. So where's 509?
That seems curious, and that points to foul play. Here's why. I've been shooting on many cameras. It's rare that one photo is just gonna randomly disappear.
Like a glitch, like a camera glitch.
Exactly. And here's another thing. This is the same camera the girls use. I wanna give this a try. I'm gonna take a picture of you. All right, take a look at this. So the photo I just took of you is photo 64. Go here, delete. 64, gone.
Gone, okay.
I'm gonna take a new photo. And this photo here,
It's number 64
64.
again.
So what that means is that photo 509 was deleted after the nightmare sequence was taken.
So you can't actually do that in the camera.
No, you can't.
So 2 months later, the backpack turns up. A woman from Alto Romero finds this backpack, and in it, their 2 bras are in there, 2 pairs of sunglasses. We have their 2 phones. In your final moments, you're gonna take your things and neatly put them into a backpack?
Doesn't add up.
To me, this backpack feels like it was planted. And we know that that area is a drug trafficking trail. They're shady characters.
Right, exactly. This, for me, more than anything, points to foul play. Alto Romero is where the woman lives who found the backpack. If we could find this woman, and if she'll talk for the first time.
She could be a key link in this case.
Well, let's get there.
We're about to fly into the jungle to a tiny town called Alto Romero. It's remote, it's rugged, it's a 14-hour hike. We couldn't reach it in 2 days. Once we get there in the bird, if the weather turns bad, we're past the point of no return.
Gorgeous, huh, JJ?
Incredible. Kinga, you can see how these clouds are rolling in here, and we saw when we were out on the trail, this weather can turn on a dime. This is where the bones were found. This is where the backpack was found. So if there's foul play, we're going in there unannounced.
Es Alto Romero, de verdad.
That's the village right there. We are officially in the middle of nowhere.
Es Alto Romero, de verdad.
We're going in there unannounced.
This village is 14 hours by hike from Bukete. We are officially in the middle of nowhere.
So JJ and I just landed in Alto Romero. This is the rural area where the girls' belongings and bones were found. And a lot of questions have been raised about who found them and what she might know could have possibly happened to these girls. So we are hoping to be the first to get those answers straight from the source.
So much for the element of surprise, huh? We are off the map, but we are highly visible to everyone now.
girls, if they made it this far, go down this ravine and make it all the way over here. I think that's about a 14-hour walk.
It's a 14-hour walk from Bukete, and honestly, JJ, I don't think they made it here. And if they did, they weren't alive when they got here. We're just gonna have to go over and talk to them, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we got. Look at how remote we are out here.
I'm thinking that there are a lot of people here who definitely lived here 5 years ago.
Hola. Lorenzo, ¿cómo está?
Hinga.
Y él es JJ.
JJ?
The body language isn't welcoming. It's not hostile, but it's not warm. They're definitely cautious right now.
The lady in the green outfit over here, right? They're the ones who found it.
In the green?
Yeah.
Oh, that's her. So the woman in the bright green dress over there, that's the woman who found the backpack. And to the left, in a black shirt, is her husband. And they're right now keeping us at bay until the entire village has a conference and decides what she's going to tell us. I don't know. To me, it's a little interesting. We would be very grateful to speak to her because we've heard so many different things. We would love to hear it from her directly.
Queremos oírlo directamente a la persona para poder relatar verazmente qué fue lo que pasó.
¿Verdad? Ya cuando nosotros encontramos esa evidencia, ni quisiéramos hablar de eso en esos tiempos, porque en verdad como ser humano igual que nosotros. Bueno, nosotros no quisiéramos recordar ya eso.
He says, you know, that a lot of time has passed since this happened, and we really are not keen to reliving, you know, what happened back then. One of the things that they have been really resentful about was the fact that at one point when this first started, there was an offering for a $30,000 reward to be found dead or alive, you know? And they are the only ones who found evidence, and nothing has been paid to them, so they are still very suspicious about anyone coming and wanting to tell them anything because when there was an offering, it didn't come through and they were the ones who found it.
It makes me mad for them. They actually were victims in this as well. So are they willing to have a sit down to clear up the confusion?
Gozaron de dinero, gozaron de fiesta, gozaron de cuantas cosas. Nidia.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't going very well for a while, but it's amazing. They're going to talk to us.
Well, they want to set the story straight. I mean, I think even they understand that there are so many rumors swirling around this case now. And like he said, this has caused this village a lot of grief. I'm glad that they agreed to tell their side of the story. So Irma, thank you for speaking to us.
Irma, gracias por hablar con nosotros.
Can you tell us with as much detail as possible the day you found the backpack, how you found it, the condition it was in?
Nosotros, yo y él, trabajamos acerca del río.
It had been that him and my husband and I had walked down to the river. I was going to wash clothes and bathe myself. And when I approached the edge of the river, I saw what looked like a backpack, you know, from the distance and trapped in between the rocks on the edge of the river.
What happened when you turned the backpack into the authorities?
Tuve que yo llamar a un señor allá afuera que tiene una finca acá.
When she handed it over to him, he called a nearby cattle rancher and informed him what he had found. He called the border police.
So he handed the backpack directly over to the police.
O sea, que tú entregaste la evidencia a las autoridades. Yeah, he did.
So these are the photos that we have.
Estas son las fotos que tenemos.
Okay, so this is the river. Yes, you saw these?
Había visto esto. Esta es la. She says that's up in Pianista. Meet him on the other side.
On the other side of where?
of the divide. He says it's on that side, it's on their side.
He's saying that that is on the Boquete side of the Continental Divide. I just want to get this super clear. This photo is not taken on this side of the divide.
Esta foto no es tomada de este lado. No.
Now, the official story is that the girls hiked the Pianista Trail to the Continental Divide and then continued onto the Serpent Trail and then died at the Monkey Bridge. But Luis knows these trails better than anyone, and he says without a doubt that this photo was taken hours after the girls reached the Continental Divide and shows them hiking on the Pianista Trail back towards Boquete. And that means that they would have never even gone to the Serpent Trail. They reached the Continental Divide and then turned back.
So how did their stuff get in the river if the girls never made it there? Kinga and I have been pushing everyone in Boquete for answers. But we're getting shut down at every turn.
Yeah. Big news. So we got our big break today. I got an anonymous phone call from a man who said he is willing to speak to us on camera even. We just have to hide his face and his voice. So we are, of course, more than willing to do that and on our way to speak to him right now.
Hey, hola.
Thank you for joining us. So we're very grateful that you're here because we have really struggled to find someone who actually worked with these bones, and you actually physically worked with the bone fragments. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm an expert in the study of human remains.
What was your level of involvement in the case of Lisanne Froon and Kris Kremers?
I figured out the bones were fragments of the right rib, a left pelvis, the tibia, femur, and the right foot.
So do the fragments of bone seem consistent with these bodies being broken up by a river?
No, the state of the remains do not indicate that the victims fell in the river. When a human falls into a turbulent body of water, several breaks immediately occurred, especially in the pelvis, the cranium, and the long bones.
And you didn't observe that in the remains?
No.
The official Panamanian theory that these girls fell from a bridge is really nothing more than a hypothesis because that actually can't be proven with the condition of the bones.
That's correct. In my opinion, there's a murder still out there.
The official Panamanian theory that these girls fell from a bridge is really nothing more than a hypothesis because that actually can't be proven with the condition of the bones.
That's correct. In my opinion, there's a murder still out there. This information is based on my experience living in Mexico.
What do you think happened?
When I worked in Mexico, part of my job involved closing down several labs associated with organ trafficking. I have reason to believe these girls were trained. Then later, their bodies were dismembered and disposed of.
Wow. In a place like Boquete, where you have incredible tourism, it's at the advantage of the Panamanian government and everybody here to keep that quiet.
That's correct.
Wow.
So?
All right, well, we have looked at about everything I think we can with this case. This reminds me more than any other story that it is so easy to speculate from afar. I don't think that they were alone out there for 11 days. I think somebody ran into them. I unfortunately think that that person was trying to take advantage of these two young women that were out there and kills them.
The key element for me is those phone records, right? Because if you were lost out there, if you were trying to get help, if you were injured, you were scared, you were sad, you were gonna keep trying.
The photo missing for me is one of the biggest clues in this case. 509 is gone. Cameras don't make that kind of mistake, especially around such a pivotal photo between the happy and the nightmare. So I think that that photo was deleted, maybe because they saw who was coming after them. 2 months later, there's the attention of the world put on this place, and everybody wants to know what happened.
We might never know what happened to these two girls, but at the end of the day, this case is only 5 years old. There are still people around, and probably more than one of them, who know what happened. I think this case could potentially still be solved.
I think if you have additional information on this case, don't reach out to the Panamanian government. The family doesn't want to hear about this anymore. Find Kinga or myself on social media, because this story is completely unsolved, and I don't think the Panamanian story of them dying out there in the wild holds any water.
You know, I think unfortunately this is a multi-layered story, and I think it was the perfect storm of tragedy. I do think there was foul play involved, and in the end, that's how they lost their lives.
All right, we don't always agree. In this tragic story, we do.